JP Shadrick.
Welcome in. It is Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman from the Hyundai Studios of the Miller Electric Center. Test drive a new Hyundai today, only at your local Hyundai dealer. Here's what's coming up. 6 days to free agency. We're inside a week to the 2026 league year beginning officially. That's Wednesday at 4 o'clock. There's a tampering period. We'll get to that coming up in just a few moments. Some Jaguars possibilities? Question mark? I don't know if you're going to be too many of them. We'll see what Logs thinks about that. NFL storylines as well on what has been busier time now inside a week to free agency around the NFL. We're on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube on this Thursday afternoon. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. Good afternoon, Jeffrey.
Afternoon, JP. You know, I can remember in years past we would always get so excited about the prospect of free agency,
Right?
Because you know the reality is that bad teams always look to that for hope, and when teams play well, like this football team played well this past fall, you're like, okay, it's free agency. It's like, okay, I hope they get some good players, but you're not sitting there hanging on every piece of information that you can possibly get, because you feel like you're going to be good regardless of what happens in free agency.
Yeah, and there's been off seasons around here where you're bringing in first wave, big money guys that,
and that's not
sometimes
the way
don't work out.
That's not the way you win. I mean, it's, look, I think last year, if you go back and you look at the last 2 years of free agency for this organization, last year, all of the free agents, I think, cost as much as the previous year's haul of two free agents. I mean, it dramatically different when it comes to contractual cumulative total in free agency from last year to the previous years. But I mean, look, the reality is when you're not good, that's the hope that gets provided to a fan base. Hey, look what we're doing. We're trying to get better. We're getting better. Look, see? And then you didn't get better. You know, this past year, you didn't spend a lot of money, and everybody was like, well, they got better, without having to spend a whole lot of money.
And I think the bigger story right now is the players that might not be coming back to the Jaguars. We've beaten this to death, clearly, with Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne.
I go back to that, and I say that, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's people sometimes they jump to conclusions and they think that it's a foregone conclusion.
Wait a minute. People jump to conclusions? Come on, Jeff. That's impossible.
And in sports, look, when you talk about it, that's kind of what sports talk can be. I mean, the reality is that, look, you don't have to sign guys before the free agents period starts to have an interest in retaining players. I've said that before. And I think sometimes it's actually good that you can let the player see the market. And then also, I think everybody that's involved in this has got a plan. I mean, I believe wholeheartedly in James Gladstone's approach that he's got a plan on how to handle if for some reason they lose players, that they have a plan to be able to replace them. And look, the draft capital that they have also is going to have a major impact on all of that.
Oh, no doubt.
And the players that they had last year that were unable to contribute last year will have an impact this year as well.
Right. Caleb Ransaw, right? Was unavailable all season long. Travis Hunter, come on
unavailable
down.
For the most part.
Come on down.
So, there's going to be an influx in those type of players as well. So I'm looking forward to free agency just because I want to see what the approach is. I expect it to be similar to last year, but I don't think the numbers, the sheer number of players acquired are going to be as large as last year. Last year they did a great job of completely remaking the offensive line room. And I think in some cases you're going to have to remake your defensive backfield a little bit.
Well, they did that last year too, but yeah.
And I think defensive line's going to get some extra attention as well. So it's going to be fun because we're all fans and we want to see what happens next, but we're not clinging to this upcoming class as a way to have hope for the organization.
Oof. Thank goodness.
Which is a big difference. It's a way better place to be.
And let's be honest, in it is fairly rare to have a free agent signed player turn into a franchise player for his second team, right? And be like that guy. There was a run, obviously, in the 20s.
It happens.
It does happen. Calais Campbell was that guy. That was a home run free agent signing, right? That whole class. Like, those guys were different. And Malik Jackson was one of those guys, too. Came in, really good player. You know, that's 2017. That's a long time ago, about 10 years ago now. It doesn't happen all. Last year, there's a handful of those guys. Jordan Lewis is one of those guys. Comes in, he was with Dallas forever, and comes to a different place. And you know what he is, and he was a fantastic signing, and the one of the old heads in that cornerback room to have. So
there will
those
be
are just a few names. There's a handful
there will
of
be
guys.
those types that are available. I mean, you can find them, but I mean, look, you know, you gotta be good at your job.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, and that's why, you know, it's one of the reasons why I love the structure of how the organization is, and that you have an EVP, you have a general manager, you have a coach. Okay, coach, you coach. You know, get the most out of your players and make them the best that they can possibly be. And general manager, get us players. Get us all the best players you can. Don't worry about all the other operational aspects of the organization, because our EVP of football operations, Tony Baselli, is going to handle that. You know, so now we can have people focus in on their job, focus on player acquisition, focus on coaching. Okay, and now Tony focuses in on handling the staff and the operational status of the football team. You know, I love the design, and I love the setup. And after this team's success last year, we're starting to see other teams try to mirror the same thing that have made changes this year in the offseason. They're trying to mirror the same thing.
James Gladstone's season is upon us now for the Jaguars.
This is his season,
Prime.
man. This is it.
This is absolutely it from here through the draft. We're on 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. It is Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Coming up shortly, we'll hear from Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence. They had a sit-down with Bucky Brooks that hit earlier this week on Jaguars YouTube. We'll hear some highlights of that. Also, at around 4:30, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Taylor. We'll get his take on what's going on in the quarterback room in Indianapolis. That's all coming up. The Jaguars did make a re-signing this week. They agreed to terms with tight end Quinton Morris, entering now his 5th NFL season in 2026. Role player on offense, blocking mainly, special teams, more special team snaps than offensive snaps. But there was a moment there, I think he started 5 games this year and contributed in a big way in the run game.
I was, and I think I mentioned this during the fall, is that what I loved about the change in the way that this organization operated during the season is that you had players that earned the right to wear a helmet on game day. And Quinton Morris was one of those guys that, look, he worked his way into earning the helmet on game day to the point where one of your big free agent acquisitions, Hunter Long, got hurt, comes back, declared ready to go. Well, he ended up staying off to the side because Quinton Morris was playing well and was fulfilling the roles that was asked of him at a very high level. Excellent blocker, capable receiver, very good special teams player. And it was a situation where he earned the right to have the helmet on game day. And it wasn't a matter of, well, you know what, we got to get our free agent out on the field and get him active because, you know, we signed him in free agency and he was a big acquisition. How about Quinton Morris? You know, let's just make him inactive because it makes me as a general manager look bad if I've got that guy playing over my free agent acquisition. That's the kind of the way he felt like it was before. Mm-hmm. And so I think that he was a symbol, I think, in a lot of ways for what was right about this organization this past year. Played very well, worked his rear end off, played hard, and I mean, keeping him around, I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money, but you want to keep that skill set around because he was definitely one that added to the game day possibilities.
And to see him step in there and execute some of the similar blocking schemes that Brenton Strange was able to do.
He had some great blocks.
I mean, lining up off the right tackle, going to the left, and I mean, I don't know what that's called. What is that?
A whack job.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, right. That's for lack of a better term.
He was putting a defender into the horizontal position.
That's right.
which is what we call the dead roach position. And Quintin Morris did quite a few of those throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
And, and I appreciate him, man. He gave you everything he had in every capacity that he had. And I remember watching him in camp, and I was going, when I first saw him, I'm like, it's just kind of maybe a number.
Yeah.
And then you started to watch him get better and get better and get better. And then on game day, he was able to kind of elevate his game to another level. And it was like, wow, okay. Here's a guy that's making you take notice because of his play on special teams. And then when he got onto the field as an offensive player, he took advantage of those opportunities and did an excellent job blocking. And then all of a sudden, he started to have some plays that were designed for him, because I think the offensive staff does a great job of kind of catching defenses off guard and throwing it to a guy who's kind of a no-name, sometimes catches the defense off guard, and they were able to take advantage of it. He's a very capable wide receiver as well.
He had his touchdown the last game of the season against Tennessee, which was
that was a design play for him.
Right.
I mean, that's cool stuff.
Really
cool
is.
stuff. And I think that just goes to show you the confidence also that the coaching staff had in him.
And reports are that it's a one-year deal for upwards of $3 million.
Yeah.
So we could see a handful of those kind of things come back into play even before free agency begins. That's not far-fetched at all.
No.
Some of those role player guys.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I consider that a really good deal. I mean, he's a role player, and obviously players that are not full-time starters, that are role players and special teams players. I mean, that's a good price, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I just like that they have him back. Whatever. I mean, obviously you don't want to pay him $10 million, but I like the fact that he's coming back, because I like what he brings to the offense. Not only that role player ability, but there's an attitude that he kind of plays the game with. Now, it's not quite Brenton Strange, okay, because Brenton Strange attitude-wise is like in the upper stratosphere of players. I mean, one of those ultimate competitor guys. But Quintin Morris is, he's...
You know it when you see it on tape.
He's
It's
up
like,
there, but not quite where Brenton Strange is at. I like it.
Back in a moment. Trevor Lawrence and Liam Coen sat down with Bucky Brooks this week. The full interview at Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. We'll hear some of the highlights when we come back. And then about 4:30, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Taylor, on what the heck is going on in the quarterback room in Indy. We'll find out in just a little bit. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
At GEHA, they stand behind their members because they were founded by members. So with zero shareholders to mind, GEHA keeps their members in mind by offering a health plan for every stage of life, plus hearing and fitness discounts. At GEHA, one thing is clear. Your health isn't their business, it's their purpose. That's why GEHA has been trusted by millions of federal employees and retirees across the country since 1937. Visit GEHA.com to find your federal health plan.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Remember, Florida's water. Enjoy, conserve, protect, because it's worth saving. This message is brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information.
To aim higher, to go faster, to push further. It's what elite athletes do, and UF Health is built from that same DNA. We don't just treat cancer, we advance breakthrough therapies. We don't just perform heart surgery, we invent procedures used worldwide. Like top athletes, we believe human progress has no finish line. UF Health, a national medical center for Team USA.
Football may be in the offseason, but your appetite's still in midseason form. And at Daly's, our barbecue beef brisket sandwich is smoked low and slow. Tender, juicy, and packed with bold flavor. I'm telling you guys, it's delicious. It's a heavy hitter. It brings game day energy to any day of the week. So fill up like a Jaguar. And me with Daly's Barbecue Brisket Sandwich. Daly's, big flavor, no off-season.
Renewal by Andersen is kicking off their 31-day spring savings event. For a limited time, buy 2 replacement windows or doors and get the third 60% off. Plus, enjoy 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 18 months. Our acclaimed impact windows are built for Florida, helping reduce energy costs and keeping your home comfortable all year long. Offer ends March 31st. Restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free in-home consultation. License CGC 1527613. Renewal by Andersen, where comfort meets savings.
It's game on, Jaguars fans, no matter where you might be. From the backyard to the beaches, the Ford F-150 with available Pro Power on board gives you the power of a mobile generator. So as long as you've got a TV and a signal, you don't have to miss another game. Just one more reason why Ford F-Series has been the best-selling truck in America 48 straight years and counting. Ford, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. See your local Ford dealer today.
Okay. I'll go back to the moment like everyone talks about, it went viral, Cincinnati. I don't think you can kind of bounce back from that without having a bond that like, hey, we really respect one another, and so what happens in the moment happens. How did you feel about that interaction, how you were able to bounce back?
We'd already had a few of those by then, so it wasn't really something too new for us. You know, it would just happen in a game. I want to push you to try to be the best version of yourself, and that's on every single throw, a 5-yard throw and a 20-yard comeback, and continuously trying to push that envelope. And when you've got a guy who starts with humility in terms of how he operates, he's not going to back down to hard coaching.
Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence sitting down with Bucky Brooks earlier this week. It hit on Jaguars YouTube, Jaguars.com. Welcome back. It is Jaguars Happy Hour from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center, 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Glad you're along with us as the offseason rolls along. Inside a week until the start of the 2026 league year. That's Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Free agency begins then. A lot going on there. But, hey, good to hear from Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence together. Bucky did a great job with the conversation this week, and check out the whole thing. But their relationship just continued to blossom as this season went along, Logs.
I think that moment was pretty interesting, though, right? I remember when it happened, and I was like, okay, yeah, I like that. You know, because the reason I said I like it is that everybody should be coached hard. I mean, quarterbacks, offensive linemen, defensive backs, linebackers, doesn't matter. I mean, everybody should be respected and coached hard. And I think a lot of people, when they saw that, they were like, oh, there might be a little something between the coach and the quarterback here. Yeah. You know, wait a minute. I mean, he's just trying to get the quarterback better. And I love the fact that Trevor was like, you know, whatever, waving it off, you know, right, because, I mean, look, I mean, sometimes you got to be able to, you got to have a little bit of tough skin sometimes to be that guy. And so I appreciated that moment. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, we've got a head coach that's not afraid to coach his rear end off and is not afraid to make maybe somebody uncomfortable to demand and expect more.
But it's a two-way street as well. The player has to be accepting of that hard coaching, and Trevor Lawrence was asked about that as the season went along.
I know somewhere in the middle of the year, there was this conversation that you guys have, and I think it was right before Arizona game, where you encouraged him to let it rip. From a quarterback, what is it like to have someone say, hey, man, just go play and don't worry about the mistakes and those things?
You could ask any quarterback, and that's what they would want, is that freedom. You know, kind of clicked a little bit with me. I'm like, all right, just forget it. You know, quit trying to be perfect. Just go out and play. And I actually had a bunch of turnovers that game. But we had another conversation after the game, and we ended up winning, obviously. It was never ignoring the bad, but it was always trying to focus on the positives and just get better at the things that we need to work on. And so that approach really helped me. Just, you know, make the play that's there, play within yourself, just trust yourself, and you know, it'll all happen the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, let it rip, and he did for 3 interceptions in that game against Arizona. Jags ended up winning the game, but that went a long way to the stretch run and the winning streak to wrap up the season.
Now, don't lie to me, okay? Because at halftime, what were you thinking?
I'm thinking what everybody else was thinking. Like, what the hell's
like,
going on out here?
It's not going the way it should be going. But, I think somewhere in the back of my mind in that game, and because I remember just going, this is just not going well. But a lot of them were not his fault, right?
Yes, it was like tip balls or weird things.
But you're thinking that maybe that's going to impact him as he's going forward because it's still happening. It's still happening to him. But then I was thinking back to the playoff game against the Chargers at home, and I said to myself, he can do it. He can do it. He can do it. But he's got to be mentally tough. And I think that moment right there showed that Trevor's got a mental toughness about him, and also took some of the words to heart from his head coach about just let it rip, and that's. And to be honest with you, Trevor wasn't letting it rip prior to that game. He was thinking way too much. I mean, you'd sit there and watch throws, and you could kind of tell his eyes were there, but then he wouldn't trust it. He would go,
like
and then he'd make
clutch.
the throw, and then the throw's late because he wasn't willing to commit. And sometimes it's let it rip, commit, whatever you want to call it. Just play. Sometimes it's just you got to play. Sometimes free of just react to what you see. You prepare all week and to make the right decisions, and then sometimes you just got to get into that mode where it's no, right? No. It's just happening, and
the ball.
And that was That was a cool game for Trevor. It was a fun game for Trevor, and it really was a turning point. I mean, that was a big, big moment for this football team this past year, and especially for him.
The off-season conversations that they had, obviously, Liam Coen is hired, and they've got to get to know each other and figure out each other's personality. Can't talk football in the off-season, right, until the program begins, but those conversations.
Well, you can talk ball, but you can't talk.
You can't do X's and O's.
Yeah,
stuff,
you can't be in there, teaching X's and O's and game plans.
But that building of relationship early just continued. That set a foundation for what happened, what we've been talking about, the back and forth, the give and take. Hard to do that when you don't have respect or some kind of relationship that is the baseline of all that.
Well, and you got to have a lot of faith, right?
That's
I mean, it's kind of a two-way street having faith, and at the quarterback, you got to have faith in that coach is giving you information that's going to help make you the best player, and the coach got to have faith that the player can develop into something that you envision. And that's not easy to have, I think, when you're talking about two people that don't really know each other. And so, I mean, I think that that's a process. I don't think that that's something that just magically happens. I think that things of that nature are earned over the course of time, and sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck with all of that as well.
And I mean, it'll continue to grow too. We're only barely a year into that relationship.
But you hope, right? I mean, look, the growth process is never ending, and even though Trevor Lawrence is what year is this for him coming up? Six. Coming into year 6. I mean,
5, 6. I don't know. Either way,
I think he's got many years of continuing to get better. I mean, I don't think a quarterback hits his peak until he's starting to approach double digits.
Year 6, you're right.
Into playing. And so I think there's a lot to learn, and especially a lot to learn in the offense. Look, there's a tremendous amount that he's learned by playing defenses, and the defenses are all, I don't want to say the same, but I mean there's always new wrinkles, et cetera. But the ability to come back in year 2 of the offense and to really own it, I think is going to be big for Trevor and the head coach going forward, because now all of a sudden he's been immersed in this offense for now going into year 2. So now he can reach back into the memory bank and pull experiences out as he moves forward into helping shape this offense into what they both envision.
And the stability around him on the coaching staff as well. I mean, there were interviews for Udinski. He ended up not going anywhere. And, that won't last forever if the success continues, but it's good to have that continuity another year at least.
And that's, JP, me and you've talked about this, and that we talked about this before Liam Coen was hired. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you, in a perfect world, if you're looking to hire a head coach, you want to have a head coach that has – his background in offense, because you want to have consistency with your staff regardless of who gets the next job in the NFL head coaching world. That's why, like Andy Reid, offensive guru, offensive mind, if they lose their coordinator, do you really care?
No, Andy's calling the plays anyway. Right.
In fact, they've lost coordinators and let coordinators move on to become head coaches, and then brought some of them now back, and Eric Bieniemy. But here's the consistent part, Andy Reid. And that's kind of the same thing with, Liam Coen. So look, eventually you're probably going to lose a Grant Udinski, and you may end up losing a defensive coordinator at some point. But, that's one of the reasons why you also build your staff and continue to have an influx of more coaching talent, so that when some goes out the door, you're having some of these next guys that you've trained just step up.
We've got plenty ahead. When we come back, Logs, we're going to go to Indianapolis. And
physically go to Indianapolis?
No. We're going to listen to an interview from Indianapolis.
Star Trek or
I was
something
physically there last week. Beam me up, Scotty.
How many bars did you hit, by the way?
Bars?
Yeah. Indianapolis has got some great bars.
Yeah, they do. A handful.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
That's not a criticism.
But
that's actually a compliment.
That's where you do
great.
networking at the Combine.
Did you get some shrimp cocktail at St. Elmo's?
One night I did,
That's totally a must.
It's very good. And that's where a lot of business gets done in the league during Combine.
Oh, there's a lot of things that get done at that restaurant.
We're back in a moment. We'll hear from Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts. What's going on in the quarterback room? What are the prospects in the offseason for Indy? We'll hear about the division rival when we come back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Before you kick off your next yard project, make sure you've got the right play call. I'm Josh Scobie, and I know a thing or two about game plan. Sunshine 811 is a free service that marks underground utility lines before you dig. Skip the call, and you could get hit with injuries, expensive repairs, fines, or even knockout service for your neighbors. Don't take that risk. Make the smart call, 811, before you dig. Learn more at peoplesgas.com/811.
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The top-ranked rehabilitation hospital in Florida by U.S. News and World Report. Our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
A bold change. A historic development is underway for the Bold City, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and team partners are a part of it. Introducing First and Forward, a development partner program highlighting the significant contributions made toward the transformative efforts to the city of Jacksonville. Thank you, Belter, Brooks Building Solutions, Jackson Electric Supply, Office Images, Sims Crane, Start Tech, and People's Gas. Championing progress on the field and in the community. The First and Forward program. The First Coast forward together. To learn more, visit Jaguars.com/forward together.
Jaguars fans, Honda is bringing the heat to Ride Now Jacksonville. Their showroom is packed with Honda on- and off-road models, including including the new 2025 CBR 500R ABS. Light, quick, and built for everyday excitement. For a limited time, receive up to $1,500 in Honda bonus bucks on select 2024, 25, and 26 Honda models. Inventory is here. The deals are live, and your next ride is waiting at Ride Now Jacksonville. Go Jags. OAC, always wear a helmet. Eye protection and protective clothing. Never ride after consuming drugs or alcohol. Never use the street as a racetrack.
It's Truck Month with the Ford Crew.
Care for a Truck Month trivia contest, Sam?
Oh, you know I can't resist, Hank.
Okay, fact. Truck Month happens only once a year.
Fact. It's the best time to buy a new Ford truck.
Fact. Ford F-Series is the best-selling lineup of trucks in America for 49 years.
Fact. America loves Ford Truck Month.
Fact. I agree with that fact.
Based on 1977 to 2025 CY Industry reported total sales.
Welcome back. It is Jaguars Happy Hour on this Thursday. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman. We're at the Hyundai Studios of the Miller Electric Center, 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Free agency less than a week away. Combine is in the rear view. The Jaguars leadership did not attend. The Jaguars did, though. That was the conversation of last week, of course. Nearly 40 credentialed Jaguars employees were in Indianapolis doing the work that has always been done. And also in Indianapolis last week, a very busy Radio Row. I think it's the busiest we've seen since we've been going since 2013. Keep adding tables on Radio Row, but it's a good time to catch up with everybody around the league, and especially in the AFC South. And each week, we'll have a conversation with the voice of each team in this division. This week, the Indianapolis Colts and announcer Matt Taylor. And there's a lot going on in Indy now. We'll start with the quarterback situation.
From an organization that had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck back-to-back, to since then, all these changes at quarterback, how does it get settled back down? Is the answer on this roster?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, what they got from Daniel Jones, I think, exceeded even the most optimistic fans' expectations for last year. I mean, Daniel Jones was the new guy, but to give him credit, there's been a lot of new guys for the Colts, and what he did coming in a short amount of time after being picked up in free agency last March, he really did a nice job of connecting with everybody inside the organization, especially the guys inside the locker room. Really galvanized the room. Went way above and beyond in terms of connecting with all the different parts of the roster. And so guys wanted to play for him. Guys really bought into who he was personality-wise. And so for the first 10 games of the season last year, when he and everybody else on offense was healthy, you saw it do some really impressive things. Now, the naysayers to that will say, well, look at who the Colts played. I think there's some credence to that. However, the Colts were beating the crap out of bad teams, and that's what you're supposed to do to bad teams, right? They won a bunch of games by 20-plus points, and they were kind of on cruise control in the first 10 games of the year when they were 8-2 and leading the offense, or leading the NFL in offense in basically everything. You know, scoring about 33 points per game. They're averaging almost 400 yards, and not to get too in the weeds because it's kind of analytical, but I mean, their points per possession was over 3, like well over 3. And that's kind of a nerdy stat, but that just kind of, points to how efficient they were in those first 10 games. And then he experiences the fractured fibula in Germany. The offense wasn't the same. Then he gets hurt, or goes out injured altogether with the torn Achilles in Jacksonville in Week 14. And then the season just spiraled out of control. They had a bunch of injuries on defense too, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I do think that Jones is the long-term answer. In the short term, he's coming off a season, a torn Achilles late in the season. So where is he going to be? Is he going to be ready for the start of training camp at the earliest? I think that's what you're looking at. But I think when you trade 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner in the middle of the season at the trade deadline, when you're 8-2, that sent 2 messages. One, it was, we're all in, we like where we're at, and if we give away 2 first-round picks, we like what we have in quarterback and Daniel Jones.
Anthony Richardson done?
It's going to be tough. I mean, it's if you ask me right now in mid-February, to describe the hierarchy of the depth chart at quarterback, I mean, right now you got to start with Jones, and even that we don't know because he hasn't signed yet. And then you got Riley Leonard, who came in the second half of that Jacksonville game, played pretty well, got to start Week 18 in Houston, and played about a half against the Houston's starting defense and played pretty well, all things considered. And then you've got Anthony Richardson. There's a lot of unknowns there. I mean, first of all, he's only started 15 games. He's got the eye injury on top of all the other injuries that he's experienced in the first 2+ years in the NFL. He's been benched. So I think the biggest thing is, we're going to hear from Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard later on today as we sit here and talk now. Hopefully we'll get more clarity on where he's at from this eye injury thing, that fluke pregame warm-up injury that he had in Week 6 before a home game against the Cardinals. Where is he at from that? And the Colts also have a decision to make on his fifth-year option by May 1st. That's a big component in this as well. But, to say there's uncertainty surrounding a top 5 pick is an understatement, considering all the success they had last year with Daniel Jones as the starting quarterback when he beat out Anthony Richardson when they had that true open competition at quarterback.
Matt Taylor with his voice of the Colts. How much shelf life is left in the offensive line and the running game for Indy?
I think a lot. They got a big decision to make at right tackle with Braden Smith. He's a free agent. He's been a mainstay at that spot since 2018. Started over 100 games. But, as you know, JP, you got to make tough calls. And sometimes you just got to move on from good players because, the math doesn't line up. So when you could potentially be looking at having to pay your starting quarterback next year, depending on how this goes with Daniel Jones, over $40 million. And then Alec Pierce is a free agent as well. So it's not hyperbole to say that the Colts have maybe two of the biggest free agents going into this offseason period on the same team. Maybe the best free agent quarterback and maybe the best free agent wide receiver. So I don't know if you can afford to pay your quarterback $40+ million and have two receivers making $20+ million when you factor in Michael Pittman Jr. in there as well. But I think the offensive line's got a lot of good life in it. I think Jonathan Taylor still does too. And that's the frustrating thing about Jonathan Taylor last year is he had another otherworldly statistical type season, over 1,500 yards, especially in the first 10 games, and everybody was healthy on offense, but they didn't make the playoffs. So it just goes to show you that Taylor's special, but it can't be all about Taylor. It can't be all about the running game in order for him to be really efficient and to hit those big home runs and rip off the long runs. He's got to have the passing game, which the Colts didn't have when Daniel Jones was compromised.
Matt Taylor with us. Last couple questions here, and let's go to the defensive side. You mentioned the injuries. What's your greatest concern moving ahead about this Colts defense?
It's the pass rush. Last offseason they really went big in addressing the secondary, especially in free agency. Cam Bynum to play safety, Charvarius Ward to play corner. Ward dealt with a lot of concussions, in fact 3 of them throughout the season, played a career-low 7 games. So it was a great, bold move on paper to go out and execute that contract in free agency. Just didn't pay off dividends. Same thing with Sauce Gardner. They didn't stop there. At the trade deadline, like I said, you bring in Sauce Gardner, a premium player playing a premium position. That doesn't pay off big dividends because he comes up with a calf injury, misses most of the back half of the season, or at least most of the end of the season after he was traded for. But so long-winded way of saying, I think stability-wise, at least on paper, the secondary is in a good spot. We'll see. But they got to do something about the pass rush. They have to find more consistency. And God love DeForest Buckner. He's one of the best players at his position in the NFL. But you can't have your best pass rusher play defensive tackle. It just can't happen. And the Colts have 3 in-house free agents at defensive end, Kwity Paye, Samson Ebukam, and Tyquan Lewis. The reality there is those 3 guys last year combined for 9 sacks. All right, they just have to have more. And without a first-round pick, I think the only viable way to do it to be impactful for next year is to go out and overspend in free agency. So that you have to factor that into it too when you talk about Jones and Pierce and how you spend your money there. But I think you have to spend in free agency at defensive end while also trying to supplement that spot in the draft too.
both teams, Colts, Jaguars, no first-round picks. So what are we doing on Thursday of the draft?
I don't know. Yeah, we go to B-dubs, meet halfway. I don't know what that is. Maybe like Atlanta or Nashville or something. Right. But yeah, I'm open if you're available.
That's Matt Taylor, voice of the Indianapolis Colts, and a lot to get to there. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman back with you. Of course, that interview was recorded last Tuesday at the Combine at Radio Row in Indianapolis. There have been some changes since then for the quarterback situation. Daniel Jones, the Colts put the
transition
tag on him. So basically, Colts had the first right of refusal. If they get a competing offer sheet, he could sign with an extra club, but that means the Colts can match it. If he doesn't sign
no compensation. If he signs with another club and they choose not to match, there's no compensation.
That's right. He'd be gone. But it gives him the first right of refusal. And if he doesn't get a competing offer sheet, then he gets almost $38 million next year from the Colts. Is the transition tag.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, which is significantly less than the franchise tag.
Well, it's still nothing to sneeze at.
Look, it'll be interesting. I mean, that's a very interesting scenario to watch. I mean, you're talking about arguably the best quarterback in the league before he got those two injuries that affected his level of play.
He was so hot. I mean, that first half of the season,
yes.
They were talking about him for MVP.
Well, and MVP conversation and how stupid did a lot of other teams in the National Football League look that didn't have quarterbacks or didn't get anybody, or they orchestrated a trade for a guy that was available on the street. And I think he's a player that if I'm quarterback needy, I am making a phone call. I would make a phone call if I needed a quarterback for Daniel Jones. And there's no risk, right? Because if I sign him, let's say I'm in Edmonton. I'm in the Edmonton Eskimos football team.
Okay.
I go and I sign Daniel Jones. I don't have to pay any price. It's just me trying to sign him, negotiating with him. There's no compensation. So the Colts, I don't know about this transition tag. I mean, it's going to be that's going to be a really interesting watch, because the reality is, if you had asked this question 10 years ago, a quarterback coming off an Achilles,
yes,
huge question mark.
Massive.
Nowadays, it's fairly commonplace. And the one position that we know, let's go back to Dan Marino, that has been able to come back from an Achilles tear. The quarterback position has been like the one that used to be the only one that could do it. Now it's commonplace for athletes of all kinds to come back.
A little different. Dan Marino didn't run anywhere. He did not run at all. I mean, and then Daniel Jones does have some mobility about him in his game.
He does. The cool thing is I had a conversation with Dr. Kevin Kaplan, who is the Jaguars orthopedic surgeon, and me and him had a conversation about this a few years back. And it was about the Achilles repair nowadays and how they have this tool jig that makes sure that you get balanced flexibility amongst both ankles. That was always a problem from before, about finding that sweet spot and the flexibility to have them equal. And they have this new jig device that they use to where they're not actually sewing the end of the tear, but kind of beyond that, and then it naturally heals together. And he said that it's an amazing progress in science, medical science, this technique to repair Achilles tendons, which is making them so much more successful. And, it's if you're kind of a med nut, which I was kind of curious about it. But it's very interesting. And Daniel Jones, I expect him to make a full recovery. And you're definitely not going to put your eggs into the Anthony Richardson basket.
Yeah, that's the other part of the conversation that's changed as well. Since that conversation, they've told Anthony Richardson and his representatives that they can look for a trade if they need to.
That's Anthony Richardson tapping out because he needed a blow during a game.
That was pretty wild.
Once you did that, bro, you're done.
And then he broke an orbital bone from snapping himself
like an
in
elastic,
the face.
Yeah, elastic band before
really
game.
Weird.
Yeah, which I feel bad for him when it comes to that. But, bro, you tapped out.
Yeah. And, I mean, he's good for a hamstring injury a season as well. That's usually how that goes. So.
Well, he's a great athlete.
Incredible.
Great athlete. There was never a debate about his level of athleticism. There was just a debate about his level of play as a quarterback
position.
And the inexperience that he had coming out of UF. Now, look, there are some guys that develop, but so I was shocked that the Colts used that high of a pick. I would have never have done it, just because there's just not – you got to have a little bit of history of success playing that position. You can't just be a great athlete and then go, oh, yeah, wow, he can throw the ball this far and he runs this 40 time. Man, look at him. Look at that physique. The eye test tells me he's going to be good. No. Trust me. Trust your eyes. See the level of play. And that really wasn't there for Anthony Richardson.
Thanks to Matt Taylor, voice of the Indianapolis Colts. Next week, Taylor Zars, voice of the Tennessee Titans. We'll get their thoughts on what's going on in Nashville with a lot of change.
A lot of rivalry coming there.
Music City, yeah.
A lot of rivalry
Excited for
there.
that, yeah. Yep. And there will be a football game, too, each time we play.
Won't be dull weeks 2 times next year.
Not at all.
That's for sure.
We'll hear from Taylor next week. We're back in a moment. Microsoft Copilot will help us with a pending Jaguars free agent. Back in a moment on 1010 AM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Jaguars fans, Honda is bringing the heat to Ride Now Jacksonville. Their showroom is packed with Honda on- and off-road models, including the new 2025 CBR 500R ABS. Light, quick, and built for everyday excitement. For a limited time, receive up to $1,500 in Honda bonus bucks on select 2024, 25, and 26 Honda models. Inventory is here. The deals are live, and your next ride is waiting at Ride Now Jacksonville. Go Jags. OAC, always wear a helmet. Eye protection and protective clothing. Never ride after consuming drugs or alcohol. Never use the street as a racetrack.
Jacksonville's own Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jaguars, just scored big, winning 2025 National Builder of the Year. And right now, Dreamfinders is running its best game plan yet, offering winning interest rate incentives and move-in-ready homes available today. With 20-plus communities right here in Jacksonville and over 40 across Florida, from Jacksonville to Orlando to Tampa, Dreamfinders Homes is everywhere you want to be. Visit dreamfindershomes.com and move into your dream home today.
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The top-ranked rehabilitation hospital in Florida by U.S. News and World Report. Our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
This is Jaguar Hall of Famer Tony Baselli telling you about Heritage of North Florida, Jacksonville's premier roofing and home remodeling company. With over 25 years of trusted experience, Heritage of North Florida has built a reputation for quality, reliability, and craftsmanship. Whether you need a new roof or updating your kitchen or bathroom, trust the pros at Heritage of North Florida to create the perfect place to call home. Mention Jaguars to get $1,500 off your next roof or kitchen remodel when you go to heritagenfl.com. Go Jags.
Before you kick off your next yard project, make sure you've got the right play call. I'm Josh Scobie, and I know a thing or two about game plan. Sunshine 811 is a free service that marks underground utility lines before you dig. Skip the call, and you could get hit with injuries, expensive repairs, fines, or even knockout service for your neighbors. Don't take that risk. Make the smart call, 811, before you dig. Learn more at peoplesgas.com/811.
Football may be in the offseason, but your appetite's still in midseason form. And at Daly's, our barbecue beef brisket sandwich is smoked low and slow. Tender, juicy, and packed with bold flavor. I'm telling you guys, it's delicious. It's a heavy hitter. It brings game day energy to any day of the week. So fill up like a Jaguar and me with Daly's barbecue brisket sandwich. Daly's, big flavor, no off-season.
Welcome back. It is Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. 1010XL AM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Glad you're with us on this Thursday afternoon, inside a week until free agency. And time now to get Microsoft Copilot to help us with a possible Jags free agent. The question today, What were Travis Etienne Jr.'s stats in 2025? Well, the answer is lengthy today. His 2025 NFL season was one of his most productive with strong contributions both as a runner and receiver for the Jaguars. He finished 2025 regular season with 260 carries, 1,107 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, along with 36 receptions for 292 yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. Check out Microsoft Copilot. Open the pod bay doors how?
Pretty interesting in that I pulled up the NFL free agent rankings.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a site, right?
Oh,
I mean, the ESPN's got
everywhere.
one. You know, everybody's got their own personal ones.
John Oehser has a free agent tracker on Jaguars.com.
So PFF, Pro Football Focus, actually has their own as well. And so I was just kind of checking it out just out of curiosity. And just here's a couple free agents and what their rankings are. Players of note. I'll give you the top 5 and then some other players of note. Number 1 they have is Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, pretty good player.
Really good player.
31 years old, though.
That's okay. He's I think those players, I think if you look at him, he's a relatively low mileage player. Number 2 is George Pickens, who has the franchise tag.
Receiver, yeah.
And so he's not going to be available. Number 3 is Tyler Linderbaum, the center for the Ravens. Excellent player. Number 2 rated center by most people in the National Football League. Number 4, Devin Lloyd.
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 is Jamel Dean, corner, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, good football player. Some other players of note, the Jaguars running back Travis Etienne is at number 15.
That's pretty good.
Okay. One other player of note.
How many running backs are above him would be the question,
Brees Hall is the only one above him.
Yeah.
The one that was really interesting, and this is obviously Jaguars related, because as I was scrolling through, you get down to 25, Jawan Jennings, 26, Rashid Shaheed, who had an excellent year finishing up with the Seahawks. They traded for him. Joey Bosa at 27, Aaron Rodgers at 28. And coming in at number 29, going into year 19, Calais Campbell.
Oh, man. Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
He's still ranked high. And here's what they say
is
about
he gonna play?
This is funny. This is crazy, right? It says this about Calais, okay? Last year he had 667 snaps. His PFF grade was 72.2, which is a high-quality starter rating.
Yeah.
It says retirement seems to be afraid of Campbell, who is yet to show signs of slowing down through 18 NFL seasons. He's logged 30-plus quarterback pressures in all but 2 of those years. And his 72.2 PFF overall grade in 2025 made it 15 straight years of topping 70.0 rating.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
He's not going to hang it up, is he? He might.
He's going to play.
Could he play here?
He's going to play. Oh, he absolutely could play here. I mean, look, this team needs pass rushers. And interior pass rushers, somebody maybe put alongside Eric Armstead.
Dude, can you imagine him finishing his career here in Jacksonville?
Would love it.
That'd be awesome.
Look.
He only played here 3 years, but 3 impactful seasons.
He earned so much respect and so much love here for a lot of reasons. Number 1, his level of play.
Yes.
Number 2, the quality of person that he was.
100%.
And how gracious he was to all the fan base and the community while he was here. And let's not forget the mentoring job that he did with Josh Hines Allen.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to love Calais Campbell, and a return here absolutely would work.
So I live near the San Marco neighborhood.
By the way, why should he go out with a loser?
Right. Come on back. Come on. This team's back on the up now. So I live near San Marco, and there was not a better sight than seeing him and his wife walk around San Marco Square. And, fans come up to them, but kind of give them their space. But he just loved this town. He loved being in this area and
it's
hanging
not like
out.
He can't hide.
No, he sticks out in a crowd.
6'8", 310 pounds.
Yeah.
The only guy, one of the few guys that I was ever around where I literally felt small standing next to him, and I felt like I wanted to get up on my tippy toes a little bit when I was around him. There's not many guys that I do that with.
Imagine trying to block him. You know what I mean? Because of that length and how he uses it, and the angles he can put on an offensive lineman.
Yeah, and he's on. I will say this: he's on the ground a lot more than he used to be.
Aren't we all?
And look, he does have the signs of aging. He's not an ageless wonder, even though he's in year 19 coming up if he plays.
He's still blocking kicks.
He still can play. He still can play.
Right.
And look, what's that song? I'm not as good as I once was. We're all in that same category. I mean, unless you're like 21, then you're going to get better. But, if you're in the year where he is or me and you are, we can say, though, that we're not as good as I once was.
But as good once as I ever was. So get him out there a few snaps, right? You don't need him every 600 snaps.
No, and
the
impressive thing is that, when he went to Baltimore, that was kind of the expectations, though, he would cut back.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
Right. Because that's why they traded him. It was like, he's kind of on the back end.
They were thinking that here.
And there's a lot of money for a guy on the back end. Well, hold the phone.
Yeah, he's still right there.
Yeah.
Not in the back end.
A couple of years ago, it wasn't
on the
bad.
back end, but his level of play was still on its plateau.
I could tell Calais stories all day, but the one a couple of years ago, week 1 Miami, 2 hours before the game, he's in handcuffs with Tyreek Hill outside, and then the first 2 plays of the game, a sack and a tackle for loss. Calais.
Yeah, he's a heck of a football player and a heck of a human being. And
unreal.
Yeah, I wish him the best. Whatever he chooses to do, he has earned.
A few minutes left in the program here, and what's coming up? The new league year, March 11th, 4 p.m., the start of free agency. There's the two-day negotiation window before that. The legal tampering period will be busy, as always. And then you'll likely see some agreed to terms / contracts being signed right after that 4 o'clock start. We'll see what the Jaguars have in mind. I mean, they'll have to do some business. They don't have to do it right away. But it doesn't feel like, Logs, this is going to be the big wave of, last year they had, 8 guys pretty early? I don't know if it'll be that.
And I think it still could be that wave early. But not, we get so accustomed to thinking that the first wave is the expensive wave.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that.
That wasn't that last year. They just happened to sign
and so
all early.
I think we could see this team be very active at the beginning because they know who they want, but it's not necessarily maybe competing for the big number. I mean, look, if you like a guy, you don't have to sit there and go, well, you know what, we got to wait until Tier 2 of free agency hits because then that's when the money is a little bit less. Yeah. You can go after those guys right away anyway. You target guys, and I think that's the one thing that they did a really good job of last year. They had a target list, and they went right at it. They didn't waste any time. They got who they wanted to. I don't think that there was one person on their list that they did not get. And I think part of the reason for that was that they didn't wait until the big money guys kind of finished to go after maybe some of the lesser money guys. They went after the lesser money guys as soon as they did. Maybe the little bit more money guys were being sought after. So I like the philosophy.
We'll look forward to that next week. We'll have full coverage of that on this program next Thursday because we'll be right in the thick of it a day into the new league year and see if the Jaguars have made any deals by that time frame. Of course, Wednesday, 4 o'clock, as we said, the start of free agency will be on Thursday at 4 o'clock, so 24 hours after the new league year begins. And then, of course, at the end of March, the NFL annual meeting will have the official ownership vote, most likely on the Jags' plans for home games for 2027.
It's a big deal right there.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal, so I'm looking forward to that. By the way,
yes.
I was just looking at another name on this list. It's a guy that's up there, long tooth, Bobby Wagner.
Oh, wow. Been around forever.
At number 47, available for
Isn't he the man of the year? Did he win that this year?
I think
he did.
He is. He's another one of those guys, and I think impressive too because he actually handles the negotiation of his contract himself, which is impressive.
He did win the Walter Payton Man of the Year this year,
and his level of success is very similar to Calais. Bobby Wagner might be the most surest tackling linebacker maybe to ever grace the professional football field.
Ever.
He's right up there.
Wow.
He had I think the least amount of missed tackles for well over a decade of any other linebacker defender in the National Football League. And for years. I mean, Seattle thought he was done. The Rams were like, hey, come on over here. And then the Rams let him go. And then now he's in Washington still playing well.
Logs, have a good one. We'll see you next week. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Jeff Lageman. I'm JP Shadrick. Our thanks to Joe Fortunato, David Cho, our entire crew, Brent Reber as well. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.